What's up, guys? Welcome back to Turf Wars with Chase and Josh. We're continuing our series covering the draft classes for each division. We have another special guest today. I call him Jones. Some people call him Shane Jones. Some people just call him Shane. But we're going to call him Jones today just because former teacher of ours is what we've always called him. So, we're
Pleasure to
just
be
going
here.
to.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. We're excited, man. Let's just jump right into it and Jones is our resident Packers fan, so we're going to be covering his division today, and he might come on for the. Today we're going to be doing the NFC North, and then next episode we're going to hop into the AFC North. But
You left off the fact I'm a degenerate gambler too. So
he is a degenerate gambler. So when we start getting into wagers and bets, and especially fantasy, he will definitely be featured heavily. So
you still have to give me the Carolina Panthers hat. I still have to give you
well,
the
this is the
Colts
one.
hat.
This is the one I'm giving you. So
Hold on, I got the one I'm giving you right here.
Well, let me. I'm
When
gonna
we
go ahead
win
and
the
pull
Super
up.
Bowl, this is what you're wearing. That's what you're wearing when the Colts win the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, this year with Anthony Richardson, for sure.
hey,
Yeah, he's an absolute.
Josh
stud.
Downs, don't knock on him.
Josh Downs was.
He's
I'm
in the
excited.
slot as our third receiver. He's gonna have like 600 yards this year, easy.
All right, let me go ahead and pull up. Let's just jump right into it. Pull up the Bears draft. We're gonna, like I said, covering the NFC North today, just in this episode, and we'll just go alphabetically. So we'll go start out. We always start off with favorite pick and or biggest steal for this class. And Jones, I'll let you start it off, man.
My opinion, when I go through and I look through the picks for the Bears, I think their biggest asset was actually getting additional picks for later. Because let's be really honest with each other, they're not going to be good. They're going to be really, really bad.
They're going to be really bad. Panther fans on Twitter have been arguing with the Bears, man. Yeah. And they're sitting there, Panthers aren't going to be great, but they're going to be better than the Bears. And these fans are being way unrealistic.
I think the Bears are still fourth in that division.
Yeah, I think so too.
If it's not the Packers, it's definitely the Bears, and
I think the Packers have a better team than the Bears.
They have a better defense, I believe. I do. Boy, the engine that's running them, I'm telling you guys, you've only ever seen Jordan Love in really spot moments. Yeah, really in games that they were already supposed to lose and things like that. But boy, you just wait.
So you're feeling the love.
We're not even on this team. We're not even on that team yet, Chase.
Just wait till we get there, man.
What I was trying to get at, though, I really think they have set themselves up for the future as long as they end up drafting well. Am I truly convinced that they have the right person at QB? Not really. However, I'm not a believer in Ohio State quarterbacks. And I mean, the evidence shows that they tend to not be the best. So maybe your Panthers avoided a big mistake by not drafting CJ Stroud. Who knows? But I think the best pick has to go to, I mean, it's the chalk pick, but they ended up getting someone who was going to be able to protect him. And I think that's what they had to address. One. And by trading down, they were able to get probably the best tackle in there without having to worry about it, without having to try to.
So you have Darnell Wright as your favorite one?
I'm going to go Darnell Wright because the number one thing they have to do is they have to be able to protect him. If they can't protect him, then I mean.
Well, you have Darnell Wright as your number one tackle.
For that draft, for what they needed, yes. Out of Tennessee, I would give Darnell Wright.
I thought they were targeting Paris Johnson, man. I thought Paris Johnson was going to be the one they but as soon as he got picked, that's when they said, let's get another one, back up one more.
I think I probably would have gone Darnell Wright over Paris, only just because watching him play in the SEC, watching him play against those higher profile teams, I thought he did great. Mm-hmm. I really thought they got a steal at number 10 by getting him. He's maybe a hair short, but 333 pounds. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Well, he starts day one on the right side. He's 100%. You could maybe kick him out left, but I think they already have a starter left tackle. but Darnell Wright immediately upgrades the O-line. So it's, it's hard not to say that's your favorite pick. But just to switch it up a little bit, my favorite, have different favorite pick and biggest steal. I was a big fan
Still
of
my player.
Tyreek Stevenson was my favorite pick for him, and my biggest steal was Pickens. I'll get into Pickens, but for favorite pick, man, Stevenson was just. I mean, there's a lot of corner. The corner class was really deep.
Very deep.
I mean, you couldn't really go wrong. In the second round where they got him, Ringo was still there. A bunch of those guys are still there. You couldn't really miss. I think just because of what they need. Stevenson fits the mold, speed, size, everything's 200 pounds. And I don't think they have him listed as a starter right now. But I think he comes in pretty fast. I think he's the number 3 right there. I think he wins one of those jobs pretty quick. But what about you, Josh?
I agree with both of y'all. I was going to go Wright and Stevenson. I think my favorite O lineman in the draft was probably Skronsky, just because the flexibility of guard and tackle. But if you look at what Darnell Wright did against Will Anderson when they played Alabama, I mean, if he's doing that against him, he shut him down. If he's doing that against him, he's going to be a good NFL right tackle, I think. But just to change it up, I did like the Tyreek Stevenson pick too. But to get Noah Sewell in the 5th round, last year he was mocked a first-round pick. To get him in the 5th just to help that defense. I also kind of like the Tyler Scott pick from Cincinnati.
I like the Tyler Scott. I think he's a fast enough one. I think what a 4.4, around a 4.4 40. And I think he used to be an Olympic sprinter. So I mean, they're getting somebody who can at least, hopefully run a deep route, hopefully be able to at least get open down the field for a pass. But I thought that was a good one in the 4th round. Noah from Oregon. That was him falling into the 5th after a year is, I don't know if it just goes to show he gets overvalued one year and now he's not quite as good, or if they actually truly did get his feel.
It's like the kid from LSU, that Boutique kid. It's like they go, top 10 pick next year. And that's why I hate the argument of, I know Drake May and Caleb Williams, they're quarterbacks are different, but like you get to this, like, just, wait till next year, man. Nothing is guaranteed 365 days from, whenever you're hoping to get somebody. So it's just, but quarterbacks are different. It's, we're all Drake May believers. We're all Tar Heel fans. So, but anyways, I agree with you guys.
I will agree with Jones too on the trade, even though you can't see it in this draft. The DJ Moore, a first-round pick next year, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and that first-round pick could, depending on how the Panthers do, it could be a top 10 pick easily. Depending on Bryce Young.
You gotta make it behind though.
If Bryce has a good rookie year, you're still going to be picking at 15 or 16. So you're getting a top 20 pick guaranteed. And then you have a really good chance to be top 10.
15 or 16.
You think so? You don't think so?
I don't think the Carolina Panthers have made that much of a jump. But again, it really depends on it. You bet you guys are going to be playing like it's a Big Ten game on a Saturday. It's going to be low scoring games with y'all.
Agreed. Which that a lot of teams win that way. 49ers went through a long time winning low scoring games.
Do you?
I think right now the Saints got to be the favorite.
Oh, 100%.
Say that again.
The
Saints. Oh yeah, I agree.
Saints have
as much as it hurts.
Right now.
They're the only one with an established quarterback. I mean, it's But
in terms of this team, though, did they truly get any better in order to move the meter, or in order to move the needle?
They got one starter for me. I think Dexter starts too because their D-line's so bad. Pickens might as well start. That goes to one of our next questions.
What about DJ Moore? Does that push
DJ Moore? It doesn't push them a lot, but it helps the offense. But their offense their O-line is awful. Who's their running back now? They signed who did they just get a running back?
The Saints got Jamal.
They got Deontay Foreman and Khalil Herbert. That's okay. But I mean, it's an okay duo. But
last year you told me Dante Foreman was like a top 5 running back.
That's what he told me as well.
Fantasy, he was. What are you talking about?
I mean, are you telling me that just because he left the Panthers, he's now a fringe top 20 guy?
I'm guaranteeing he's top 20 guy. He's for sure a top 20
Christian
guy.
Christian McCaffrey said the best thing to ever happen to him was to get traded to San Fran.
Listen, we'll talk about this, but when you go from Matt Rule and the Panthers to your hometown and Kyle Shanahan, that's definitely the best thing that ever happened to you. So I'm not disagreeing.
To a running back, you're not wrong.
I'm not disagreeing with him at all. It's Matt Rule ruined this team, dude. I mean, the team was already bad, and then it's okay. Another video.
How about the Steelers? How about the Steelers getting the 33rd pick in the draft for Chase Claypool? That was, everybody's trying to tout Ryan Poles as this savior, and that pick turned into Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, big pick.
Let me ask you this: was there ever a doubt that they were taking Joey Porter Jr. in this draft?
I thought they were going to take him in the first round, honestly.
So did I.
Yeah, I did too. They had to.
I would have put money on that one.
Yeah.
But, I think they got a big trade offer for someone trying to come up for Will Levis. Yeah. But I think they just chose to stick it out and get Joey Porter Jr. Because if they weren't going to get him, I think the Colts could have drafted him in the second round too.
Well, what's your? We'll move on to the next one. What's y'all's least favorite pick for this team? I'll go with you, Jones. You go first.
Honestly, in my opinion, I didn't really think the Dexter pick was all that fantastic. I thought the Dexter pick was a bit of a reach. It was a bit redundant even. I think he will help out, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure Dexter actually showed the tools and the skills to be a starter day one. I know you kind of said you penciled him in as a starter day one. His physical attributes are awesome, but nothing ever just truly wowed me about that.
I think he's definitely he's a people eater, block eater. I don't want to say that he's starting 100%, but because their D line is as bad as it is, it's like, what are they supposed to do? I mean, are they gonna Andrew Billings and Justin Jones? You know what I mean? Javon Dexter and Zach Pickens could both easily take that over. Not saying, like I said, it's just because the D line is so bad. That I think he's going to end up starting, whether it's day one or by week 5. But
I'll go ahead and go just because. Or go ahead.
I was going to say, bottom line this for me, okay? Because I'm recording this down just because I want to see how right all of us are.
Yeah.
Chase, how many wins do you see this Bears team getting?
We're gonna get into that.
Go to the schedule. Go to the schedule.
We're gonna have an episode.
I've got the schedule right here. I mean,
we're gonna get into an episode about that. So we're gonna save it. We gotta save it.
Okay, that's coming at the end. All right, fine.
We're gonna have a preseason. We're gonna go every division, talk about records and rosters and just rankings in general. So we're gonna save those.
Where do you think the Bears? Where are the Bears finishing in just this division?
Last, and I think the Bears could have a top 3 pick.
Okay, I say 3rd.
You think so?
Yes.
I think the Packers are better than the Bears.
Well, let's move on. Let's see. Let's at least do our last couple
questions. Let me go ahead and go because I agree with Jones completely. I think Dexter was a reach.
Yeah.
Look at all the talent that was sitting there on the board in the second round.
So if you go to second round,
Darnell Washington was still there. Darnell Washington was still available. Over Gervin Dexter, I like the defensive tackle the Colts got, Adebayo. I like him better than Dexter.
So Gervin Dexter went right there.
We knew you would. We knew you would like that one over him, but
yeah,
I do agree.
Look, John Michael Smith.
Yeah, Osiris Torrance. Yeah, the
DJ Turner.
Agree. That's Turner. It's a reach for sure.
It's a reach.
Like I said, I still think he's a good enough player he'll play, but over, like you guys just said, over what's there, it's I can see why.
John Michael Smith's a starting center. He's a starting center day one.
So what do you guys, Josh? What do you give this draft as a grade?
You include the trade with Carolina.
Got to include that.
I like a solid. I like a B.
Yep.
I think they had a bunch of picks, so they got some depth.
And Jones, we're not giving A's. A's are rare, so we're
You think I'm going to give an A to any of the teams in this division?
You're not an A giver.
My God. I'm going C plus, and the only reason I'm even doing the C plus is because of the future picks that they were able to establish. Like I said, I just don't see anything other than the O line that got any bit of remarkably better.
Yep, I agree.
Even depth wise, I'm not
yeah.
sure.
It feels like it was just an entire depth draft. Like it was. They
That's
didn't
what it
take a
was.
swing at anything. But I'm going to stay in the middle of y'all with a B minus, only because of the trade. If they didn't pull off that trade, and they went, who knows what would happen if they didn't? But that probably would have been in a low C's, maybe even a D. Not a big fan of this draft.
They
There's a
probably
couple
just
players
would
I
have
like,
went
but
Jalen Carter or Will Anderson at 1 if they didn't trade it.
yeah. Well, let's move into the next team in line, the Detroit Lions. This one's an oddball because you watch other people talking about this draft. It's either an A or an F. I mean, it's like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell. They're both first round picks, but no one had them look. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs going late first after Bijan. Campbell maybe going late first, but they took both of them top 20.
Yeah,
and me personally,
you remember? I think in
you go ahead.
The previous episode, didn't I give the Eagles the A plus?
It was either an A or an A
Sure I
plus.
did.
You gave the
I
Eagles.
think so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
figure out what
I gave the Eagles that.
Yeah. Well, this one, my favorite player is and favorite steal is Branch. I thought Branch was the best safety in the class. I think a lot of this kind of consensus. And for him to go as late as he did, I mean, to add to this already good secondary, it's going to be fun. I know, Jones. I know you might. I don't know if you hate the Lions. I don't know, who your hatred grows towards, but
you know who I hate. Okay,
Cam Newton.
Yes, we discussed this so many times. Okay, you know who I hate.
I do too.
Yes, my God.
Well,
I know you hit the nail on the head. Brian Branch was, and I'm not going to steal him as your pick because you already have. Brian Branch was the steal of the draft for the Lions. Okay.
Yep.
It was almost like they started out crappy. They started out awful, then made some amazing picks. And then it was like they had the perfect mixture of head scratching and home runs.
Yep. Agreed.
Low key, my favorite pick, and I honestly, I think the Hendon Hooker pick is my favorite pick of the draft for them.
Mm-hmm.
Only because why not? Why not take a gamble? For the majority of the college football season, that man was considered to be a top 3, if not top 2 pick when he was dealing. I mean, they were making a lot of comparisons to the modern quarterback that we're seeing now, and I think that that's something that, why not take a stab in the 3rd round? You built some depth in the beginning. You made some head scratchers. However, you did end up getting a pretty darn good tight end and a pretty darn good safety as well. And I don't hate the Jahmyr Gibbs pick. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I'm never going to crucify a team for going with what could be instant offense, especially after losing Jamal Williams. So for my money, Hendon Hooker gets my favorite pick of the draft, but I know I would have taken Branch if you had gone Hooker or someone like that. But
yeah. Josh, what about you, buddy?
I was gonna go Hooker as well, but I'll change it up. I love the Jack Campbell pick.
Yeah, you were a big Jack Campbell guy.
I think he's a Dan Campbell, fits in the defense perfectly.
Man,
you talk about biting kneecaps off. That's what Aiden Hutchinson is. That's what Jack Campbell is. I love the pick. But I do think it could have been a little high. I can see that. But as far as fit, I think it's a perfect fit.
Yep.
And maybe that's where we're coming from. It's the value standpoint from this.
Yeah, I agree.
At the 18th spot, what else could you have gotten that would have immediately impacted you?
You could have got Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, was still on the board.
Right. I mean, you're looking at. I mean, in a team where their defense was pretty porous, inside linebacker, sure, but maybe address more of the D line again. maybe get some more depth on the the outside linebackers wouldn't have been bad at all. Again, like Josh, like you said, do I hate the player? No. Do I think you could have maybe he definitely wouldn't have waited to the second round, but
I think a lot of people would have thought Branch may have went where Campbell went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then I think to get Branch where they got him, it kind of offsets that a little bit. Because Branch was mocked to the Jags.
Well, hindsight it offsets it. Hindsight offsets it, but not live. I mean, it's
not in the moment. Not in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like what?
Yeah.
I saw someone talking about the Lions draft, and they were talking about how, like the Seahawks used to do, they used to draft for culture instead of what they really need. And Dan Campbell, bite the knees off stuff. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but that's not how that's not how you sustain.
That's not a
really
formula.
winning. It's not a winning formula.
But
it's fun. It's fun to watch.
It's worked. It's worked for the Lions last year. It absolutely worked. I mean, you just look back over the years. They had Stafford, Megatron. They were always terrible. Last year, I think this year's Lions can make the playoffs.
In the NFC, definitely.
I think the Minnesota Vikings are the biggest.
Now Jones,
in the NFL.
he's saying they can, not that they will.
No. But he's taking a page from my book, because my early preliminary list, I have the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. I think if they won 9 games last year, I think they are definitely a 10-11 win team this year. They will, as always, and God, you are absolutely walking a razor's thin edge when you put your faith in Jared Goff. But he didn't throw
an interception the last 6 games last year either, I don't think.
Exactly.
They played good.
And they still didn't make the playoffs. They just need him to not suck and get Sun God the ball as much as possible.
Talking about Goff, man, if you can get Hooker just even remotely to Goff level for a rookie contract, I mean, you're like just going back to the value there. I think Hooker can be Goff. I mean, he quick release, big body. He can, he's a little slow, but kind of got a big arm. Do you guys see Hendon Hooker maybe taking that over next year?
No, I think they're worried about the end. I think this is a rehab year. I think they're going to extend out his knee issue in order to make sure it is not just, they're going to make sure it's 100%, and they're going to not try to put the stress of an NFL game on it until they are absolutely certain. And probably after they've had a chance to see him in workouts that didn't involve being, within the season of trying to prep for a game as well. So they're probably not going to put him in on scouts or anything like that. I foresee them waiting until the off season in 2024 to be like, all right, let's see what Hendon can do.
Yep.
I think he sits for a full year.
Yeah.
I don't think he touches the field this year either.
Hey, can I point out? I was certain at least one of us was going to say we love the Antoine Green pick in the 7th round.
I was about to say, man, shout out to Antoine Green, because he's that ESPN kind of did him dirty with how they were talking about just his speed appears late. He doesn't do much after the catch and not a good route runner. It's like, I mean, he's picked in the 7th round, but
he could, if he makes the team, he might get some.
Could he be that Chark replacement if he makes? He's got to make the roster first, obviously. But they got some gaps in that wide receiver room.
According to Carolina Panthers,
especially with
anyone truly replace Chark, because Chark, if you ask them, was an All-Pro last year, and they're gaining. Basically Justin Jefferson 2.0 with DJ Chark.
No, DJ
you gotta
Moore,
turn your bias down a little bit. Wait till we start talking about the Panthers.
DJ Moore was the best receiver in the history of the NFL. To Panthers fans.
Oh, trust me, I know someone in this.
And DJ Moore, if he doesn't throw the ball in the stands against Atlanta, Carolina's in the playoff.
Yeah, and then we're picking at pick 17 this draft. So
yeah, it may have worked out. It may have worked out for him.
I mean,
but from a winning standpoint,
it's besides the point. Let's go. What is your? I'll start off with the least favorite pick. Not that I hate the player. I think Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 was ridiculous for what the Lions need. I just picking a running back.
You chose your words
They
carefully.
picked him. No,
The pick, not the player. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Yep.
pick, not the player. I like Jameer Gibbs. He was my second favorite running back. I was hoping he would fall to the second to the Panthers, and the Panthers trade up to get him because he's just offense, like you said, Jones. Anything that adds explosiveness is a positive. But picking him at 12, with what was there, Christian Gonzalez was there.
Mayer was on the board.
I mean, you had so many guys. Let's look at round 2.
They drafted him over Mayer.
Not round 2, round 1. So
No, it's round 2.
they took him over. I mean, there's just
It's round 2. Oh,
no Jameer Gibbs, yeah. Just the receivers and stuff that were there. But if they fell in love with him and they were, he
But
was,
they took a receiver last year at 1, Jameson Williams. Now he's suspended because of sports betting or whatever.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy. But
he's suspended because of where he sports bet.
he didn't even sports bet.
That's right.
Report.
That's right.
It was,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was like the whole Lions wide receiver room or something crazy.
All right, and we are back. I think we left off with, I said Jameer Gibbs was my least favorite pick, not the player, but the pick. What about you, Josh?
Kind of your same like value, I guess, or whatever. Sam Laporta with Michael Mayer was my number 1 tight end, and for them to pick him over Mayer was absurd. But I like Laporta as a player, but I would have liked Mayer a lot more.
In a draft where they only had 8 picks, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head with the 2 that were the most head scratching, or the ones that you just didn't like where they were. I fully agree with Josh that Mayer, to me, I mean, Notre Dame is known for their tight ends. Mayer is great at his route running, his size, his pass catching ability. I mean, you look at this draft. I mean, Iowa had 3 in the top 2 rounds. They should have been a much better team, apparently, but
yeah,
I didn't realize Iowa had that much talent to offer.
Everyone compares Kincaid to Kelsey. I think the more natural comparison is Mayer to Gronk.
I agree. Like the size of Mayer. I just don't know what you see in Laporta over him.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think the Mayer to Gronk thing is kind of like people are just tired of the baby Gronk, new Gronk, wearing the same number, everything like that. But I think he literally plays like Gronk. He's athletic, but he's not, fast.
If you look at the tough catches Mayer makes, like his dude's draped all over him.
Yep. Well, so that let's go into the next question, which is, what who do any of these? We didn't even ask this for the Bears, but I guess we kind of answered it. But do any of these guys compete for a spot, whether it's week 1 or some point in the year? Jones, you can go first, bud.
I mean, obviously, I think Gibbs competes for a spot day 1. Laporta, I mean, just by attrition, Laporta's going to compete for a spot day 1. Branch has to. I guess Jack Campbell does too, just because who else are you going to put there? So if you look at their first round picks and their second round picks, you are looking at minimum 3 starters day 1, probably 4.
Agreed. I think they got 4. And like you said, I think day 1 you could walk out with 4 starters. And when we got into this, it was like you look all across the internet. It's like, Jameer Gibbs and Jack Campbell kind of determine your grade on this draft, just because they're 2 first-round picks. But they both have crazy talent. It's can you get them NFL ready to go? And if you do, and you get 4 starters out of 1 draft, you're doing pretty well. And Hendon Hooker for the future. So I think I agree with you. I think you get 3, maybe 4. Josh?
Yeah, I think you get 4. Gibbs is going to start. Brian Branch is going to start guaranteed. Laporta, they just traded away their tight end to Minnesota, Hawkinson. Right. So, I mean, Laporta's going to compete, whether he wins it or not. Who knows? And I think Jack Campbell, fits what Dan Campbell's trying to do. I think he starts. Mm-hmm. And then if Hendon Hooker plays in a year, you've got 5 starters 1 year from now.
Yep. So how much better does this make the team? Does this move the needle for you, Jones?
This moves the needle for me. I think with this, they are a better team than they were last year. Simply on the defensive side of the ball, they had to have some help back there. They were for about 2/3 of the season, the Detroit Lions were almost must-see football.
Yep.
Whenever they were on, I mean, they were exciting to watch. You knew they were going to give up points, but you also knew they were going to score a ton. I think they are going to compete with the Minnesota Vikings for this division. Okay. I'm not sure 2 playoff teams can come from this division. So it might be that the winner of this one is the only representative. So that might be where they have to actually win it to make the playoffs. But I see them as a better team. I see them as an improvement on a 9-8 team than they were last year.
I can agree. I agree. Josh, you agree with those?
Yeah, I agree with all that. But the only thing I'll add to it is, I think Minnesota got arguably like way worse in the offseason. They lost Thielen. They're probably going to lose Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Who's their number 2 wide receiver? I think they drafted. Who'd they draft?
Addison? They draft Addison, but they can't stop anybody.
No, not at all.
Their point differential for a playoff team was awful.
Well, we'll get into them after the Packers. Yeah. But Josh, what's your overall grade for the Lions?
I give them an A. Flat out A.
Think so?
I think so. It's one of my favorite. And I know you don't love Gibbs at 12. You don't love Campbell at 18. You think you stole Brian Branch in the second at 14. But I like all the players, regardless of what you think their value is. I think they got 4 really good players. And if Hooker does anything for them ever, you come out of this draft with 5 starters. Yep. I loved it. And I think they are the favorites to win the AFC North or the NFC North next year.
I give them a B-. My grades are coming based off of, I'm a teacher. So when I hear the word A, I think exceptional. When I hear the word B, I think, better than average. And so I'm giving them a better than average simply because they didn't do a lot with volume, but being able to have 2 in the first and 2 in the second makes up for not having any fourths or anything like that. So, or 2/3 as well. I mean, they are top heavy with this draft, and for that they break into the B- category for me. But if they hadn't made a couple of head scratchers, it would be a firm A. I agree, but there's just there's one thing that you're looking at and you're like, huh, really?
Yep.
Can I ask let me ask just one quick question. If they had taken Gibbs at 18 instead of 12 and had gotten someone different at 12, would we be saying something different?
Well, that's what I was about to say.
I think it would be my favorite draft in the class had they done that.
Yeah.
More
right
than
now, it's my second favorite. I'm only giving out 3 A's. The Eagles were my A+. I think the Lions are my A. If the Lions would have went, who was available? If they went Christian Gonzalez at 12, got Jahmyr Gibbs at 18, took Jack Campbell at 3, and still got Brian Branch or Michael Mayer, yeah, I think that's the best draft in the league. But I still think if you get 4 starters, I think it's
because huge. I like the players. I'm with you guys. I'm at a B+, but it would have been 100% A if they could have, even if they picked the same guys in the same order, but moved back, 2 or 3 picks every time and moved back from 12 to 16 and then from 18 to 22. Like if they could have done that and they could have got the same guys.
They did move back to 12. What did they get for 12?
It was from Arizona, right?
They were at 6.
Yeah, it was from Arizona.
Did they get
I don't remember what the trade was. I thought it would have it on here, but let's see. I can look it up real quick. Let's see.
They may have got the 3rd pick. Sam Laporta may have been that trade because the Cardinals would have had the 3rd pick in the 2nd round.
Trade. So they traded out of the 6th pick.
Trade out of 6. What did they get?
Lions got 12, 34.
Yeah, they got 34.
That's that's a pretty good. Yeah.
So they added Laporta by doing that,
Yeah. Okay.
So good move.
and it
Yeah.
could have been Mayer.
That's close to
Think-
teetering me from a B plus to an A minus, because of that, But anyways, for what they got, I like the players. I think they get 4 starters out of this. It's a good draft. So
Yeah,
let's
and
move.
again, I am stingy with my grading only because I'm coming at it by the definition of what those letters mean for me and my profession. So
Yep.
B minus to me means you did a good job.
Yep.
Yeah, you did a great job. Even you are above average.
Yep.
So
Well, let's move on to the team of the hour, the Green Bay Crappers. So Jones, I'm gonna let you carry this one,
Yeah.
man.
They had a ton of picks.
They had a ton of picks. I think after about
Looks like the Colts. It looks like the Colts.
after about that 5th round, I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep.
That's because y'all didn't have. That's because the Panthers didn't have any picks.
No, I mean, as I was researching this and studying up on these guys, it was like, oh man, once you get to about 10 picks, it's like crap. It's a lot of players. But Jones,
Unlike
who's your favorite pick, Jones?
let me do a little caveat first. Unlike Chase, I approach my team from a very cynical position. Chase is like those Buffalo Bills fans from the last decade where every single April they thought they were winning the Super Bowl even when Tyrod Taylor was their quarterback. Like, hope always springs eternal for a lot of teams in April. For me as a Green Bay Packers fan, I don't look forward to April because I know we're going to screw it up. We always do. So,
but April's also never been very important to the Packers because you've had 40 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play. So it's a lot different for a team that sucks for a team that's perennial playoff.
Correct. However, my favorite pick in this draft has to be Jaden Reed. All right. I would have bet money, and I was firmly in the camp that I thought they were going to send a double middle finger to Rodgers and take a skill position in the first round. I
thought Njigba was the guy.
I really
thought Njigba was the guy.
I honestly thought they were going to take Mayer or Kincaid that early. I really thought they were going to address the tight end with one of those 2 best ones in the draft, and I thought they were going to do it that early. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
But Jaden Reed is my favorite one in the draft. I think he immediately slots into the slot receiver. I think he is going to be able to provide a good pass running and a good pass catching ability for Love to pass to. Obviously, our boy Watson was plagued by drops. I think hopefully that he gets better come second year. Romeo Dobbs still has some stuff to prove to me, but being able to give Love a pretty darn good option out of the slot, I think that was my favorite pick in what they addressed. Do I wish they had addressed that maybe earlier? Absolutely. However, as a Packers fan, I'm disappointed just about every April. So there you go.
It's you can't be disappointed if you expect disappointment. So
hope for the best, but expect the worst. That has been my motto with a lot of things on this planet.
I was it's for my favorite pick. I'm actually gonna go with Van Ness because I was a big fan of him because of in the NFL. I think he will play. I think his college snaps was like 60%. He was on the edge, and then he slid into the D line or D tackle spot a lot. I think he kind of fits that Buckner build. He kind of he moves all over the place. I know Buckner now kind of stays in the middle, but he's built like Buckner, big body. I think you're going to get, he's got ESPN kind of said what I was going to, or when I was reading it, I agreed totally. He doesn't have many moves. He's kind of just power, big body. But where you got him at 13, I think he was one of the top, 2 or 3 edges or ends or just linemen overall. But I actually thought Van Ness was my favorite pick.
I'll build on that with you because I think, they compare him with Preston Smith for pass rushing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not it's not a guarantee that Neal is going to be ready for the beginning of the year. And
Yep.
so, is it a flashy pick? Is it one of those that you just go wow and say, oh my God? No. But you and I were texting that night and you asked, what do you think? And I'm like, it feels normal, and it feels like something they would do, and it feels like something that they will benefit from. They have a history of taking people that just make me go, why? And then 2 years down the road, if
You're talking about extending them already.
Yeah. And or they are providing something that you never thought they would provide at a degree to which you didn't think they would provide. And so I'm fine with the pick. Did I love it? No. Did I hate it? No. I was absolutely lukewarm and fine with them taking Lucas Van Ness, and I'm a-okay with how you feel about him. Josh, what about you?
I think my favorite pick was probably Tucker Kraft. I like him better than Musgrave, to be honest with you. But I like the Lucas Van Ness.
The injury to Musgrave, does that scare you?
But yeah, it's just when I watched the film, I just thought Kraft, looked more prototypical to me. I don't know.
I can see that.
But the Van Ness, kind of like y'all said, I didn't love the pick, didn't hate it. I thought y'all were gonna go Mayer or Jackson Smith and Jigba just to give the middle finger to Rodgers. Yep. But I mean, the GM's proven that he's not going to take a wide receiver in the first round. If there's ever a year to do it, it was this year. But
I think they showed trust in Dobbs and Watson. I think them not taking a wide receiver. I like them too. I like them both. I agree with you, Jones. Dobbs has a little more to prove.
As you know, when you go on a first date, first impressions are everything. And when your first impression is dropping a wide open 60-yard bomb, it's hard to get that taste out of your mouth.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he came on towards when y'all made the run, even though y'all lost last game. When y'all made the run, he came on.
And so, I think Musgrave and Kraft immediately step in. I mean, our only returning tight ends are DeGuara and Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know you know a lot about them.
Y'all lost who the tight end y'all lost. I had him on fantasy last year. Robert Tonyan. Yeah, I like him a lot too, but that's what.
But
they were getting rid of all of Rodgers' boys. Like that became very apparent that if you received the stamp from Rodgers, you probably weren't going to be on the team this year. I can't believe Mason Crosby is still even around the area.
So Jones, what was your least favorite pick?
My least favorite pick is actually a bit of a stretch. I did not like the Sean Clifford pick. I know that's in the 5th round. However, I think you can find a veteran to provide depth for Love if you don't think Love's going to do it. Clifford to me is more of a Mr. Irrelevant than even like a Brock Purdy was.
Yep.
And so that was my least favorite pick, especially starting out day 3 with you're hoping you maybe get one more person who can push for a starter, or you get one person who can push to be a depth guy. And then you start out that day by taking, what's going to be probably your 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah. I was confused by that too. I don't know why they don't just go get Cam Newton, honestly, but dude, if
I know why. I know why they don't
terrible.
Go get Cam Newton.
It's his dreads.
It's like saying, why don't you go out and get cancer? I mean, that's why you don't bring it in.
To answer the question legitimate, it's taking a kicker or a punter in the draft I hate it every single time. So taking the punter in the 6th round, it's a 6th round, so they're all shots in the dark anyway.
He may not even make the team. I mean,
that's what I mean. The Panthers a couple years ago took the long snapper, and it was like, what are we doing? Like, you're spending actual value that your franchise has. I know it's a 6th or 7th round pick, but why not take upside? Like, what was the team that picked Kuntz, the tight end, that was like the highest athletic grade for a tight end ever coming to the draft? They picked him in the 7th round. And it's like, I'd rather take a basketball player than take a punter. I mean, it just
you make a good point. However,
it
it's
makes
just
no sense. I don't know. I'll always be my least favorite pick when teams take any sort of kicker or anything to do with special teams kicking. So,
right.
but what about you, Josh?
I mean, some of these guys, to be honest with you, I don't even know, but like, I mean, it'd probably be Sean Clifford or, I mean, pick one in the 7th round. I don't really know him,
Yeah.
honestly.
Hey, at least they got a Charlotte
But
kid, man.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, their first 4 picks, I like all of them pretty good. I mean, I don't love any of them. Like the Van Ness pick, kind of how we were talking, like not hot, not cold, just right in the middle. And that's kind of how I feel about the whole draft. I think they added
Yeah.
depth, but there's not a standout pick that I hate.
There's not. This is a depth draft, and as far as starters, yes, they're starters. There are people there. I mean, I firmly believe that the first 4 are going to be starters. Should they be? I don't know, but just from again sheer attrition at tight end, you're looking
Packers
at
run a lot of 12, right? They run a lot of 2 tight end.
They're going to be running a lot of 2 tight end sets now, especially with Love, because hopefully one of them can at least protect a little bit.
Yeah.
They're going to try to set Love up for success at least early on in the season. I'm not sold on Love. I don't think that the front office is necessarily sold on Love. Everybody's saying the right things. Everybody's saying the supportive stuff. However, Chase, I've told you on the phone several times, if something in the back of my mind says that there's a short leash in terms of, well, let's just see, because if you don't know after 6 or 7 games, you're not going to get, it's not going to improve.
Yep. So Jones, what is?
I think I like Love more than the average person. I like Love.
Yeah.
But,
It was a stupid pick when they did it, but the quarterback himself, before he got even picked.
A stupid pick.
Just saying the quarterback himself, the player, I was actually a fan of him coming in. Didn't know where he was going to go. And then it was like
I wanted the Colts to get him in the 2nd round.
Yeah, we were sitting there in the apartment talking about that, man. It's right. The quarter. Like you said, jury's still out. 6 or 7 games. The team is his. Give him all the confidence in the world. You got to hope those receivers step up, but they kind of one hand watches.
I think the 2 tight ends. The 2 tight ends are going to be big for him too.
Yeah. Yes. If they work out, man, this draft could be. So, Josh, how much better does this make the team? And, what's your grade?
I think offensively, makes them, definitely better than what they were. They added 2 tight ends and possibly a starting receiver. We've seen. You look at the Chiefs, you look at the Bills, you look at the Bengals. You got to have a plethora of weapons. You have to have them. So to give them, another wide receiver.
Do the Bills have a plethora of weapons?
I don't know. It's up in the air, but I think Kincaid added to that. And
Kincaid might be the second best receiver now, because Gabe Davis is garbage.
Yeah.
I kind of like Gabe Davis, but I don't think they have a certified third wide receiver either.
And then they got Damian Harris. Damian Harris is a good running back. They still have Hines. Is Hines still there?
So what's your grade, Josh? Hines is there. I gotta hear. What's your grade for the Packers draft?
I think it's a B-.
Okay.
I like the draft. Like I said, I don't think there's nothing that stands out that wows you, but there's nothing you hate either. I think it's above average. Plus, you just look the sheer volume of picks y'all have. It's
Chase. What about you?
I like the draft.
I am teetering between the C+, B-. I think it's average. I think if Van Ness works out, it's going to be a good pick. I like Van Ness, but it's like you said. Packers. I don't hate the Packers. I tell you all the time, Jones. I don't hate the Packers. It's an average draft. Like you guys have both said it. Nothing stands out, but you got a lot of picks, a lot of darts to throw. So I'll stick with you, Josh, on a B-. I think it's right there at average. I think they could walk away with 4 starters. So,
That's
pretty good.
4 starters is what I see. And so I'm going to give them a C plus, which is kind of like the same one that I gave the last team. And the only reason is, again, there's not a standout. However, what could push it into the B minus range for me, and again, trying to remove the fan from me, is, I have to imagine that they're going to get a first round pick from that Rodgers deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that trade too.
Yeah, we gotta add that in.
I thought y'all got a lot more than you probably should have for that trade.
Yep.
If he plays next year, y'all get an additional first.
I've only met one person who I swear is always a contrarian who has told me that the Packers got fleeced, and I'm like, you're literally the only person who believes that.
Yeah.
You weren't going. You got the maximum amount. The only way you were ever going to get more was to trade him last year,
or the trade wasn't going to happen. So
right.
That's why I think. That's why I think if y'all would have went Jackson Smith and Jigba at 13, it would have made it that much more.
Yeah,
like it'll put some more emphasis on that pick too.
I agree.
They have faith in Dobbs and Watson, man. They've.
Yeah.
If you're Dobbs and Watson, you're sitting there feeling pretty good about yourself right now.
But to what extent did Rodgers make Watson towards the end of last year?
Good point.
Well, think about it though.
Watson could be a stud either.
Watson made some very athletic catches, and some catches that you're like, wow. Sure. There were some throws from Rodgers that he caught that were very un-Rodgers-esque throws, but that he made look like highlights. So I think it's probably a combination. And again, we're going to have to see what can somebody do with Jordan Love. That is the giant question mark, which leads me to, I think this team finishes last in the NFC North. I might have a different opinion about it when we actually do our rankings, but at this point, I don't see them as being legitimately better all the way around than Chicago. And they play Chicago first and last on the schedule. I don't know if y'all knew that. They play them week 1 and week 7 or 18. And so they're going to get a motivated Chicago out of the gate, and then you could see them.
Hey, that week 17 game could be the Drake May ball.
It could be we're losing on purpose. Who knows?
Yeah.
So. I don't think the Packers are going to be that bad. I really don't.
It's all it comes down to.
They're not going to make the playoffs, but I can see the Packers winning 6-7 games.
Well, let's move on to the last one, man.
Yep.
They got a short list.
The most overrated team in the entire NFL.
Well, and they draft players from the most overrated school in the.
They went USC, LSU.
I mean,
they choke unlike any other team except for maybe Buffalo. Buffalo is kind of choke artists as well.
But they do, yeah. That's a state pastime for the state of New York for Buffalo. They can.
Well, Matt and Mike are probably going to watch this, and they're going to be clamoring to get back on here.
Well, at least you won't see me constantly referring to an elbow as an excuse.
Here's my only thing with Allen is everyone says he's the second best quarterback in the league. Hadn't been to a Super Bowl.
Oh, Josh, honey, there are people who think Josh Allen is better than Pat Mahomes. You ask some Bills fans, if you said,
I know, trust me, I know.
Who would you rather have, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? They wouldn't even.
It's not even close.
Well, let's
not even close.
Listen, let's get into the Vikings. Let's go
Mahomes
with
is a dog.
All right,
Josh,
do I get to go first this round?
Yeah, Jones, I'll let you go first. Who's your
because this draft
favorite or biggest favorite pick?
Do you truly know anyone that's good after Jordan Addison? And even then, it's like that was more of a why pick to me than maybe any other pick in the first round. Like, my God, are you just going to try to simply outscore teams?
Yeah, that was my.
You haven't stopped anybody in 3 years, and you have a chance to be able to maybe get some depth for that. I mean, my Lord, they have no secondary depth. They lost everybody. And then they're like, all right, you know what?
Peterson.
Let's go the opposite direction and let's add more offense.
Yep.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, like Jahmyr Gibbs,
yeah.
I can never fault you for going in and getting more weapons to score with. But Lord, when you only have 6 picks in the draft and you do not have a second round pick, boy, you need to hit something that's going to help you.
I think it's where if you take out who picked here, and you saw Jordan Addison going to pick 24 as the fourth receiver off the board, that's a pretty good pick.
Yes.
I had Addison a little, probably as my second after Njigba. That the wide receivers, corners, they were all deep. So it's to each their own. But take away who picked them, I think Jordan Addison was a great pick. But it's the Vikings, and they needed a lot more.
But what did they do? What did they do other than Jordan Addison?
I really don't.
That's why I said, who could we even talk about other than Jordan Addison here?
And they didn't have a
Absolutely
second
nobody.
round pick. They didn't have a second round pick, so it's all dart throws. It feels like after Addison, it's they close their eyes and click shuffle.
Jaron Hall, maybe.
Dwayne McBride, I thought he was cool coming at, like, when you look at all the running backs coming in, but it's a shot in the dark, man. It's like it's a running back in the seventh round.
But
so how excited can you be?
But just think about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so the question becomes, and this, I think Josh and I are on the same page with this, where I don't think they got better.
No,
I think they will
significantly worse.
This is one of the only drafts.
I think they will be able to maintain a level of scoring that they were able to, but I think they're going to give up even more points than they did last year.
Yep.
If they don't keep Dalvin Cook, I don't see him scoring nearly as much, because Thielen went to the Panthers too. So now their second best wide receiver is who?
Osborne. Right? Maybe Addison or Osborne, but again, I mean, I think we're all valuing Adam Thielen. Don't get me wrong, Adam Thielen's good, but Adam Thielen's now the second oldest receiver in the league. So
yeah,
I agree. I agree with that too. But what I'm saying is, if they lose Dalvin Cook, now you're asking Kirk Cousins to stand back and throw the ball 35 to 40 times a game.
You don't think it's Madison's season?
He's good, but he's a Donta Foreman. That's what he is.
Okay.
I think if you give him a full workload, I think he's better than Donta Foreman.
He's serviceable, but he's not a top 15 back.
He's not Dalvin Cook, and I mean,
you don't think he'd be top 15 with a full season?
No.
Ooh, that's a debate right there. I'd say he's better than Deontay Foreman, which I have right there at the 20 spot. So he's pushing that 15. If he gets a full season, 300 or 400 touches.
He's serviceable. He's good, but Dalvin Cook's special.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's really good.
How much longer is he going to be special for?
But hey, don't discount.
Well, he's not going to be on the team. He ain't going to be on the team. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And trust me, again, I lived through this past year. This was the first year that Dalvin Cook stayed healthy for an entire season.
Yeah.
It's the first time he did not miss a complete game. I think he left a game with a shoulder problem in one of them, but then he was back in the next game. And so, he gets to now, if some team wants to sign him, he gets to say, maybe I figured this out. I'm a little healthier, but agreed. I mean, I think Detroit is the better team over this.
We're forgetting their backup running back now. Ty Chandler, baby.
I mean, Tar Heel. Yeah. I mean,
and I forgot they had Hawkinson again. So
he can catch.
But here's another thing with the Vikings. I think they won 9 1-score games last year. They had the greatest comeback in NFL history against the Colts. Thank you, Jeff Saturday, for completing the tank for us. But they're not going to win 9 1-score games again. That's not going to happen.
They won all those 1-score games, and if you look at their losses, they got blown out. I mean, when the
Colts were blowing them out until Jim Irsay called down to the field and said, "Hey, Jeff, we're going to need you to fold this thing."
Yeah, figure it out. But there are still the same holes, if not more holes, than there were last year. Okay, there are now more question marks with this team than there were last year. This seems almost like a sort of directionless or rudderless team.
Yep.
Like not being able to figure out what they want to do. So
I think they're preparing to be bad without Kirk Cousins next year. if they're going to get rid of Thielen, which I agree, Thielen's old. I mean, I don't hate getting rid of him, but if you're going to get rid of Dalvin Cook, you're going to get rid. If you're getting rid of Kirk Cousins next year, this is just preparing them to be bad next year and
Right.
rebuild.
I think
Maybe
we
they're
covered.
maybe if they start out and they're not hot in the first 6 weeks of the year, maybe they trade Kirk Cousins and says, "Give us Drake May or Caleb Williams."
Maybe.
I think we covered all of our questions for this one. It's bad. It doesn't make the team better.
Yeah.
At no one, Jordan Addison's the only one really competing for a spot. Maybe Blackman just because he's a he's a corner.
I don't give
who
out too many
knows?
Fs, and I give an F to this.
This is I can't give it an F because of Jordan Addison. I like Jordan Addison, so that's the only one thing keeping me from giving it an F. But I'm gonna give it a D-. It's
Again,
right there.
From a teacher standpoint,
True.
you failed in what you set out to do with the draft, and that was to get help where you needed it.
Yep.
And so for me, that's an F.
So we got an F and a D-.
I was gonna give it a D- as well. If Jordan Addison pans out to be a top 15 receiver, then who really cares? But
True.
yeah,
So,
I mean I hate the draft. It's absolutely terrible.
Well, we
let's round up just our overall thoughts on the NFC North. For me, I think the Lions are the clear favorites to win the division.
I think you're looking at one playoff team maximum from that division. I think a lot of teams in this division are circled on a lot of schedules as very winnable games. And so I think you're going to see a lot of these teams picking in the top 15 next year.
Yep. I agree with you both. Lions are see if they can keep the hype, man. Ben Johnson coming back is a big deal. So
yeah, the Lions kind of remind me of the Giants of last year.
They do.
Yeah. You let Danny Dimes or Jared Goff? I'm taking Goff.
I like Jared Goff. I like Goff, yeah.
I just don't like Dimes.
But I think the potential with the Lions.
It's hard for me to go with the Dookie.
I think the Lions
exactly.
I think the Lions can make the playoffs and upset Minnesota or the Giants or the Saints. I think that could be possible for them next year.
Dallas, don't forget Dallas. Dallas has Dak.
Absolutely. Now I said something about the Bills and the Vikings being the biggest choke artists. Dallas is right there up there with them.
Yes, they are.
It's probably your top 3 in the league.
Well, we got just a couple minutes left, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Jones, it was fun having you on, dude. Hopefully you can come on again for the AFC North whenever we do that again.
I look forward to it.
When we do some.
Yes, I know some fans of teams in that division that I can't wait to throw under a bus. So
we'll that episode will be interesting, and that's why it's a good idea to dedicate an entire episode just to that one. So
I like that.
But
Gentlemen, we're gonna have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir.
I have a kid I have to get home to. You have 2, if I recall.
So. Yes, I do. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. If you made it all the way through the video, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Later, y'all.